So this is the Legacy Pro. This is a very talked about paddle, and for good reason. But I actually have a lot of mixed feelings about this paddle, and I want to get into it. But let's start with the specs. So the Legacy's face is Toray T700 raw carbon fiber, so it's got plenty of grit for spin, for whatever you need. It's an awesome face. Its length is 16.5 inches. The width is 7.5 inches. The core thickness is 16 millimeters. The handle length is 5.3 inches. The grip circumference is 4.125 inches. The weight comes in at 8 to 8.4 ounces. And its warranty currently is 120 days for manufacturing defects. That's a little odd. It used to be a bit longer. Not sure why they made that change. But what's really unique about it, less unique now, but when it really was coming out, is that this is thermoformed with foam injected edges. So that means it's cooked hot. They've put foam in the edges, and all that magical combination makes this thing freaking hit the ball hard. You don't need to have all the mechanical know-how. Your baseline hits, your serves, they're gonna fly. And I was coming from the X-Pac, and at the time I really struggled with the mechanics on how to generate my own power. And so the Legacy Pro helped me right out of the gate. It was crazy. But there were some cons. The Legacy Pro, I ordered it in February. I didn't get it until April. Mind you, that was a pre-order. There are some risks, but there were delays after delays after delays. But I sort of got over that. It's a small company. There was some communication to sort of let us know what was going on. And so when I finally got the paddle, I was pumped. I was ready. The other con though for me was it had the power, but I really struggled to have the control that I was used to. My game, as I talked about in the previous video, I like to go up to the kitchen. I like the dinking game. I like to place my shots. The X-Pac, coming from a super control paddle to this, I had a really hard time adjusting. Getting that placement, getting those dinks, that was hard. And then it exasperated an issue I have with my play style that I'm working on, is it exasperated it. I was more prone to doing pop-ups, and that's something I know I've got to keep my paddle out there. I've got to hit more balls out of the air from the kitchen. I've got to hit in front of me, but that's something I'm working on. And if that's something that you have issue with, popping the ball up and setting up your opponents to hit winners, the Legacy Pro does not help in that department. And so ultimately what I did was I played and played. The internet talked all about there being sort of a break-in period, and still the paddle was still doing those pop-ups, having a hard time controlling it. And so what I ultimately started doing was experimenting with tungsten tape. And tungsten tape is a lot like lead tape. The only difference is it's not toxic. And for me, I was experimenting. I was putting the tape all over the place, seeing what would work. And so that was just out of convenience. Instead of doing lead, toxic, I did tungsten. Wilson makes tungsten tape for tennis rackets, and I just use that. I'll leave a link. And what I ultimately arrived at was 3 grams on each side of the throat. So that really helped with the control aspect. But at that point in time, by the time I arrived at that, I was already experimenting with other paddles. And then around that time, the Legacy Pro's edge guard popped off. And so that was a pretty frustrating experience. And my understanding of the way Legacy's warranty program works is you have to pay for shipping to send the paddle in. And I'd already dealt with all those delays before. I didn't want to do it again. And the internet seemed to be advising using super glue or sort of re-adhering the edge guard yourself. And so I was a bit sort of over the Legacy at that point, and it was sitting in my bag. I was using other paddles. But that's really not to say this isn't a great paddle. This is a great paddle. If you don't struggle with pop-ups, if you like to hit it from the baseline, if you have that control already, go for it. The Legacy's awesome. It's an awesome paddle. For me, it just was not helping me. It was sort of exacerbating some issues I had, and I was just getting frustrated and I had moved on. But I really do still recommend this paddle. I think it's great. Unfortunately, I've reached out to them, but I don't have a promo code. If I ever get one, I'll add it to the video's description. Chris over at Legacy, if you're watching this, would love to get some help on that. Otherwise, I've got some other links to some other great paddle companies, so please check those out. I've got promo codes. Using those links, using those codes, that will help the channel out. I'll get kickbacks, so please go ahead and look into that. And then that's it. I mean, I think the Legacy's a great paddle, but it's not for everyone. So really look at your game, look at what you're working on, and you'll have to just try it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you're getting to go out and pickle, and just remember, it's about having fun. Thanks.